Hey guys, don't mind my voice, I'm a bit ill at the moment, but alas we move. So, some interesting stuff is happening over on the Conan Exiles Twitter. It seems that the devs are posting some pretty cryptic clues as to a future update, and I believe it pretty much confirms we're finally getting magic in update 3.0. Obviously that's a very bold assertion, so let's take a look and see if we can work out what is going on. So, as of the date of writing, there are 5 tweets of interest. The first shows us a parchment with some scribblings on it posted on November 26th. The second is another parchment, this time all cut up. However, at a glance this note is written in plain English, so it should be easier to work out what this says compared to the first one. The third is a reply to a previous tweet, nothing really to decode here, just some extra text I think. The fourth is a collection of 3 images from a Pathfinder's report. These areas are meant to be located in game, so we'll be trying to do that shortly. Finally, another parchment with an Inkwash, hinting at another in-game area that we'll try to find. So, let's start off with the first tweet. This is probably one of the most interesting ones, as it's not written in English, nor does it look like any other language that I'm aware of. The first thing I did was to Google parts of the text to see if it was a passage from any of Robert E. Howard's books, or maybe even Lovecraft's work, but I got nothing. Instead, I believe that this is a cipher. I used to be really deep into the Call of Duty Zombies lore back in the Black Ops 2 days, that's actually why I started this channel, and I spent a good amount of time learning about ciphers and decryption, all that sort of stuff, to try to decode some of the lore items in that game. So this immediately seemed like some sort of cipher to me. Therefore, I typed up some of the text and ran it through Nayuki.io, a website that provides an automatic Caesar cipher breaker. Caesar ciphers are one of the more simple ciphers, so it was my first port of call. Putting a few lines of text through the breaker, I did manage to glean some information, though it seems like this cipher is made slightly more complicated, either by deliberately misplaced characters, a shifting cipher key, or just by my misinterpretation of the scroll-like handwriting. What you're seeing on screen now is what I managed to glean from attempting to crack the cipher, and whilst much of it remains unreadable, there are a few points that hint at the general nature of the note. It seems like a commandment from someone demanding help. It's suggested that whoever wrote this note has some form of advanced knowledge, promising to shatter foundations whilst completing his work, though I doubt this means actual building foundations. He seems to want to raise the pillars, promising gifts beyond your wildest imagination and promising that failure will not be tolerated. Of course, you might know that after I had finished trying to break the cipher myself, I scrolled down a bit on the tweet and saw that someone had already done it. Twitter user Rayuka posted a plain text version of the note. I believe this hints at some form of quest we'll be undertaking in the future, something to do with the corruption pillars. It's a very interesting piece for sure. Even though I could have just scrolled down the thread earlier and seen this tweet from Rayuka, trying to decode it myself was actually pretty fun. I'm enjoying Funcom's more do-it-yourself style approach to these teasers, and if they're going to keep putting out cryptic tweets like this, I'm very much here for it. Moving swiftly onto the second image, I think this will help to give some more context to the cipher. I've cut and reconstructed this parchment and it reads as follows. Day 13. A strange plum-coloured mist surrounds the area. Came from nowhere, limits sight, but I can make out some sort of shimmering dome surfacing from within. The sound of hollow rattling seems to echo from the area. I cannot discern cause nor source of the phenomenon, nor does it bear any signs of the wolfmen or snakemen. Vantage points do not provide clear vision, so I will path away inside the mist. Day 14. Avoid totems, death rises, must rep. Of course, I searched some of the lines of text within this parchment, but again, nothing came up. I believe that this note comes from somebody who is near one of the corruption pillars, as the mention of plum-coloured mist sounds like it matches those in-game. He also mentions that it obscures vision. Those purple clouds around the pillars are fairly dense. On the Day 14 section he mentions avoiding totems, which I believe are the corruption pillars themselves, the same pillars mentioned in the first parchment. The term Death Rises is quite interesting. There's only assumptions to make, seeing as the final line is cut off by a tear in the parchment, but I believe this likely refers to necromancy in some form, rather than the concept of death. This seems like a safe assumption given the blood covering the parchment. Also, there is an interesting icon in the top right of this page with a bow over some four-pronged compass-like symbol. No real idea what that could mean, but it's interesting for sure. The third image is a parchment inkwash of a location. I can make out palm trees and what appears to be some water, which would indicate it could be in the desert, maybe around Noob River or one of the smaller waterways. I can also make out a tent in the bottom right of the image, specifically a Blackhand mainsail, and I checked all of the NPC camps near Noob River, alongside all of the lakes inland, but no luck unfortunately. I think the symbols on this map are probably quite important. At first I thought it was a very rudimentary clue to the location of this image, but unfortunately not. The tweet it was attached to mentioned a nearby overlook, which did take my search to the eastern side of the map, but again, nothing. I do think those symbols could be important, so if you have any ideas what they mean, or if you think you know where this image is, do let me know in the comments. The 4th, 5th and 6th images are all from the same tweet, and they're rough renders of in-game locations. The first one was tough to find, but I actually managed to locate it in the tundra, on the southwestern side of the Cursed Mound looking southwards. It's very much worth noting that just north of this location is a corruption obelisk, so that could mean something. The second image is honestly too obscure to work out where it is. Obviously, well, in my opinion, the subject is clearly one of the large walls or bridges across the map, but I have no idea where it is. I've looked around the unnamed city, the southern aqueduct and the Tower of Bats, but I just can't find this structure anywhere. However, given how close the first image is to a corruption pillar, I think it's a fairly safe bet that this structure could also be found near another corruption pillar, hence why I looked around the unnamed city, but alas I had no luck. The final image is, weirdly enough, a blood-covered, somewhat tattered version of the image from the previous tweet. It's rotated slightly and the blood increases make it seem different at a glance, but it is in fact the same image. This could hint that this location is important to what is coming, but until someone manages to find that location, we're kind of in the dark awaiting the next clue, which will hopefully provide some more details. It could also imply, seeing as we're picking up the breadcrumbs of those who have come before us, that we're following the trail of multiple people, not just one. So, in summary, what exactly does this all mean? Well, to me it seems like some sort of quest line. Whether this will manifest as an in-game quest or remain in this sort of cryptic ARG style format, that remains to be seen, but it seems that we are following the crumbs of some strange ritual that involves the corruption pillars. A lot of people have mentioned that they think magic should be tied to corruption, and I don't know if I'm 100% sure on this, but I'm fairly sure I've read something before that stated this was the original idea behind corruption, that it would enable magic. The reconstructed and deciphered notes seem to hint at some sort of forbidden knowledge, most probably, again, magic, and my first guess is necromancy. However, seeing as there are references to the resting ones, I could see some weird Lovecraftian stuff going on. I don't think it would be out of place, especially not in Conan. So until Funcom put out another cryptic tweet, this is where we are currently. I think it's safe to say there is something big coming, and it seems like I'm not the only one that is banking on this being magic. It seems like the most obvious guess, and usually, the most obvious guess is the correct one. However, knowing my luck, as soon as this video goes out, Funcom will undoubtedly release something that confirms completely the opposite. Funcom, please don't do that. If you enjoy my content, all the links to my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, Host Havoc affiliate page, NordVPN discount and NordPass discount are available in the description below. However, of course, you can simply just leave a like, a comment or subscribe. Any of those are very greatly appreciated. Patrons get a bunch of nice benefits, including sneak peeks of videos, your name in every video, custom made wallpapers in 1080p and 4K resolutions, full-size build blueprints, Discord roles and more. On that note, a massive thanks to our patrons Sadialot, Randar, Connor, Ivy, Velma, Torn, Coffeeman04 and Eagle Rose. As always, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.